Hello there, this is Elora, and I'm a prequel trilogy kid.
And this is Dave, and I'm an original trilogy kid. And you're listening to What Does Star Wars Mean to You? The show where we talk to all kinds of fans of the franchise, from industry insiders to indie artists, from obsessive mythologists to mega collectors, all for one goal: to take the hate out of the debate by focusing on one fan at a time to find out, what does Star Wars mean to you?
Welcome to our episode between episodes. This is where Dave and I deep dive on our favorite aspects of guest interviews, and then we choose a topic that's interesting to us in the world of Star Wars for that week, and we go into the datapad.
Yes, but before we go into the datapad, can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Right now, a lot of Lego influencers have the Lego Star Wars Death Star. It's
all over my For You page.
Yeah, it's like $1,000. It's 9,000 pieces. Or I may be exaggerating that. I may have that off. But there's 27 minifigs. There's all these little areas to that are little dioramas within the Death Star from the Death Star 1 and the Death Star 2. Because there's the Emperor's throne room, but there's the trash compactor. And then there's Han in Stormtrooper disguise, Luke in Stormtrooper disguise. The Emperor's entourage. Oh my God, it looks so cool.
It looks so cool. So if anyone out there wants to gift Dave and I,
we'll split it. She can have it on the weekends.
Yeah, I'll get the part-time custody. I
have it for holidays.
That would be fabulous. So that's our little PSA of the morning.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Please gift us Lego Star Wars.
A Star Wars Death Star. It's only $1,000, but it brings $1 million worth of joy.
Yeah, I don't know if you can even put a price on the joy.
I don't think you can.
I don't know if you can.
Not on
Although I'll give you a price of joy. Whoever's going to win that Powerball tonight.
Yeah, if the winner of the Powerball is listening right now,
yeah,
you should maybe.
Yeah, all I ask is for Lego Death Star and maybe pay off my student loans. That's it. I feel like I'm being completely reasonable. I feel like that's a completely reasonable, modest ask.
It is. You're just you're not asking.
I'm not being selfish here. I just want some Legos and I want to get out of school debt.
I feel like that should be a bumper sticker. I want some Legos and I want to get out of school debt.
I didn't even go to anything crazy. I just wanted to get a communications degree.
So last week we talked to Elise, who is an influencer on Instagram under the handle of Just That Star Wars Girl. She's an avid Star Wars collector, a big reader of the books, and all about Star Wars fashion.
Yeah.
It's her every day.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was a fun conversation. I really enjoyed getting to know Elise.
Yes, and I loved her What Does Star Wars Mean to Her? So let's have her tell us, and then we'll be right back. We'll be right back after these messages from Elise.
Star Wars means to me, it's a way of life to me. It's it's not only is it an outlet, it's more a way of life to me. It's more of something that can always be one way out, It's but mainly, I know people always say that, but mainly I'm saying that Star Wars is a lifestyle for me. It's a lifestyle choice.
I love Elise's kind of way of life, how she expresses herself through her fandom, and the kind of more philosophical approach to life through Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was, I loved how she said it's a lifestyle for me, because I never really, I never really thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think fandom is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And her interaction with it every day is just really impressive.
It's impressive, and it's I don't know, I love people who just completely dive into what gives them joy without any kind of apology.
Yes.
That she has a really charming approach to just how she embraces things that make her happy and how she lives her life. And in every aspect, she is online, she's an influencer. A lot of influencers, especially women, get a lot of hate on the internet, get a lot of kind of, I think, criticism and critique that I don't know can match the same kind of energy that a lot of male influencers get. I don't know that for sure. I'm not a male influencer on the internet, but I have been a female one, and let me tell you, there's some ugly shit out there. But she has this like really charming approach to handling that criticism and just being so unapologetically herself.
Yes.
And has worked really hard to kind of find her community and her place online. And I loved also that she kind of talked about how she had to take a break for a while. And she was inspired to do that by Ray. Like, it's okay. Every now and then, like, take a breath, take a beat, take a break. Like, you can't do anything for anybody else until you're taking care of yourself.
Yes.
I feel like every time we talk to a fan of the franchise, I learn something new about Star Wars and life.
Yes, I agree with that for sure. Or some new perspective that kind of changes the way I've looked at Star Wars the whole time.
Yeah.
And especially with, this is going to sound dippy, but younger fans. Fans who have come on in the 2010s, in the 2015s, how their interaction with Star Wars as a franchise feels, to me, very different than my interaction with it. And I maybe someday we should dive into that a little bit more to see if there's something there or not.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode or a whole mini-sode about it.
Yes.
For this week's In the Data Pad, I feel like we need to explain how we got to this topic.
Yes. Do you remember? Because I feel we bounced around a lot and just not just landed here, but we bounced around a lot and
landed the plane here.
Yeah.
From what I recall, this is kind of like those games of telephone, or like, I guess they call them like an earworm, where like you start on one thought and then you end up like somewhere like completely different. Or I don't know if that's an earworm, but you know what I mean.
I liked Game of Telephone. I think that was good because it kept changing as we talked more and more.
Yeah. Well, we always try to find a topic that is somehow related to something that our guests spoke about. And I if I recall correctly, Elise had been speaking about Skeleton Crew. And then we thought, like, maybe we do like a rewatch and some kind of reaction. And then we looked at our schedules for work and we were like, that's not feasible at this point in time. So maybe we talk about like Smee and the droids of Star Wars, because we've never really done that before. And then somehow it ended up being all the droids of Star Wars and very much less about Smee. So
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about this conversation. We have a really cool outline here that I don't think I've heard on another show before.
Basically, as we developed this, we kind of evolved to droids aren't just background noise. They are the spine of Star Wars. They're not just comic relief. They're not just characters, but they are essential to the Star Wars storytelling.
Yeah, they are the biggest plot devices. They are some of the most major characters. And just also there's so much in terms of like story arc and the representation of different like kind of like what the audience is supposed to feel. Is often like represented in droids. So yeah, I agree with your thesis.
Let's take a look at the droids in general in Star Wars, like what they kind of fulfill. The original trilogy, you had C-3PO and R2-D2 who are kind of narrative anchors. In fact, C-3PO actually tells the story of Star Wars within Star Wars at the Ewok village.
Yes, he does.
And then in the prequels, there's the explosion of droid armies plus comedic relief where the battle droids are going Roger and kind of doing background comedy. Then the droidicas. I've always had a tough time with that word.
Droidicas. Yeah, I've always called it droidicas, but I don't think that's right. I think that's just easier for my mouth to form around the word.
Yeah. It's just that DEKAS is a tough one.
Yeah. They're the ones that like roll out and then have the shields with the gun.
Yeah.
For those listening going,
like the
what are they talking about?
And like that droid army versus kind of like the more personal droids like the astromechs and the protocol droids. Again, R2-D2 and C-3PO, who have less of a narrative stake within the prequels a little bit.
Which makes sense given the place in their story at that point, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
then we have the Clone Wars, where the droids really expand their personalities with like the hostile murdering Chopper. And
Love Chopper.
and then
Disney
more
era.
of the Disney era where we have like BB-8, K2SO, L337, BTEMO, B
It's
from
B.
I was going to say Rogue One, B
It's
from Andor. And those are in every droid feels like a unique archetype, a unique droid. Oh, well, and of course we forgot SM-33, who is from where we started,
but left off this list, which is hilarious. Yeah.
From
Skeleton Crew.
Thank you. From Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, there's this kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it's cool to look at the evolution of the droids throughout the Star Wars trilogies, specifically kind of into the Disney era, where I feel like they got a little bit more creative.
Yes.
Where you go from this kind of like Greek chorus, essentially, like the audience that is like C-3PO and R2-D2 in the original trilogy. You're right on, like C-3PO quite literally like narrates most of the film.
He is. He's kind of like almost maybe color commentary. I don't know, but he is like commenting on it throughout. He
acts as the sort of anchor for the audience, I feel like, so that we know what's at stake at any point.
Yes.
When we need reminding. Like, it's not constant, but like every now and again, he kind of acts as this like commentary of like, oh, this is a big deal because, or like there's something else like that is added there.
And he does that through his anxiety. You know, it's really his anxiety that keeps the audience informed about the stakes at any given moment.
Yeah, and it's so relatable, right? Like I feel like we all would want to be Luke Skywalker, but like, let's be real, the majority of us would be like, God, well, this is just our lot in life, isn't it? Like,
yes, exactly. It's so true.
Yeah, I love what's happened with the Disney era. I feel like we've gotten so much more personality, and that droids are so much more a driving factor of story and archetype, which I think you are going into next.
Yeah, it's what I really appreciate about droids in Star Wars is they have like the perfect character droid for the story they're telling.
Yeah.
Within each title. So, you know, the pirate, basically the kid pirate show, Skeleton Crew, you have SM-33, who's literally named after Smee, the pirate from Peter Pan. And he's like the perfect thing for that, perfect device for that story, because he himself, he has a peg leg. I think he has a patch on his eye.
Or he's like missing an eye. There's like an animal that lives in it. Yeah.
That's right. The little space mouse.
Yeah.
And then you have like in Rebels, you have Chopper, who I said was a homicidal maniac. People love that about Chopper.
He's so sassy.
He's so sassy, but such a perfect fit within that group. Yeah. You know, within Hera and Ezra and Sabine.
Well, they all have some sort of trait that drives the story or kind of fills the void of like, I feel like I'm leaning towards the feeling that they really fill the void of like kind of what the audience really needs to be feeling in terms of like the deeper impact of the story, right? So like R2 is incredibly loyal, and I would argue that a lot of the first trilogy's kind of main plot outside of family, like found family and hope, is a lot of like loyalty and trust. BB-8 is really naive. That's a direct reflection of like Rey coming into herself, Finn coming into himself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of like naivete happening and a lot of learning that's happening. Even Poe, to an extent, finding his place in the rebellion.
And there's also almost a corruption of the naivety as you go through.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they grow, right? I mean, by gosh, is it Last Jedi where Poe is like, we're taking over the ship? And that's like such a juvenile approach to problem solving, and all the female leaders are like, okay, let's let the hot-headed boy figure it out on his own and like give him space to do that. And he becomes a much better pilot and leader for it. Yeah, I feel like they all kind of like have these like K2SO. Another
K2SO.
great example. He's gruff and like
Yeah.
he's got a lot of like kind of a grittier humor, but he's also like really kind of grim just based off of his programming, and that's honestly needed. I mean, one of my favorite
Yes.
K2SO scenes is when he's carrying the body down the hallway
Oh,
as a
yes,
human
yes.
shield.
Yes. From Andor. And in a way, doesn't even need the shield, but he does it anyway.
He just does it for effect, and that's what makes
Yes.
it great. Like, yeah.
Yes.
So their humor, heart, and tragedy, and they kind of, I think, determine a lot of the beats throughout the
Yes.
series. Yeah. Why do you think audience attach more to droids than some of the human characters?
Well, I think one of the reasons is because the droids, like the audience, are witnesses to the story. You know, like C-3PO and R2-D2 are witnessing the story as it unfolds. They're almost these silent, I keep going back to the word witness. They're almost like these silent witnesses to what is going on around them. And even though they partake in what's going on around them, I think the audience kind of latches onto them because they're in the same situation.
They can relate to the...
They relate to the idea of witnessing this story. I think the other thing is droids are kind of like pets. You know, they're like a companion. They're not a tool. They're not a person. Like within the Star Wars universe, they are a different category of being.
Yeah.
And I feel like that category is very much like a pet.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite droids in the Star Wars universe?
Oh, well, for me, one of the things I always suffer from is like droid du jour. Like whoever the latest droid I'm watching is my favorite droid. So I've been watching Rebuild the Galaxy, Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy.
Fun.
Because season 2, part 2 is coming out in a couple weeks, so I wanted to refresh on it. And Servo, who is the Gonk droid, is so fun. He's like this hyperactive Gonk droid. Because usually the Gonk droids are like these slow-moving Gonk, Gonk. And Servo has like an Australian accent. He talks really fast. It's like, sounds a little bit like Rhys Darby to me. But what I think is so interesting about Servo too is how he is kind of hyperactive, really fast, really jittery. And that's what watching the Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy is a little bit like. It's hyper fast. It's a little jittery. That's also partially why I think the droids represent the thematics of the episode or the property that they're a part of.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of like to answer both, like my favorites, and then also kind of I skipped over my answer a little bit of like why audiences attach to droids because I got like so engrossed to what you were saying. But mine kind of answers both because I feel like we attach ourselves to them for the reasons you just stated, which is that like they kind of provide a bit more context for even the lead characters and gives them even more humanity or develops their characters even more. Like, so like B2EMO or B from Andor, like he represents a lot of like innocence and fragility, which is very much the galaxy at the time, right? That like that there's this fragileness in what the Empire is trying to do because it's so unnatural and and then also in what it is that they're trying to protect, right? Which is the innocence of just the everyday person, being able to live and exist in the galaxy without oppression. But he also acts as that pet. Like I don't really know what B's main function serves as outside of just kind of companion droid.
That's a good point.
He doesn't seem to do much. He's every time he's on screen, he's just kind of there as like emotional support, or he's like playing with other droids in the background. Like he's never really working on anything.
He's not like harvesting grain. He's not fixing the hyperdrive. You know what's funny? What I think is funny about B is in season 2, I want to say maybe it was the second arc, the second story arc. where I felt like they might have written B off and like
he
sent him
disappears
off.
for like 4 of the arcs.
Yeah, they sent him off to like a puppy farm. You know, it's like, oh, don't worry about B. He's gonna go and be happy. And I was like, oh, what's happened to B? And then at the end, I love that they give him a happy ending where he's like running around like the picnic table, has a family, has another droid to play with. I just thought that was like the sweetest thing.
And Bix is there.
I
also love, one of the reasons B is my favorite is that, like, you know, he reflects a lot of, I think, the everyday person, especially like Ferrix, right? Who is scared to stand up. And then there's that whole kind of ending battle art, like fight. What would you call that?
I think like uprising.
Thank you. Uprising in the streets, and B is the front of the line, charging towards the Imperial officers. Like he's literally front and center, like
That's
right
true.
next to Razzo.
Yes.
I love that.
And it is, he goes from like this innocent, fragile, sweet little thing, very scared, to upriser.
Yeah. I mean, he practically throws the first brick. He's for Marva. I also love D0, which is the little green and white droid that Rey finds in Rise of Skywalker that's been abused, which I think is a great representation of just the kind of abuse from more imperial-leaning people within the Empire, but also gave the audience more context to like Rey's gentleness, her humanity, and then brings him along. And I don't really know what function D0 serves either, but you know, him and BB-8 are good friends, and I like that.
Well, it's really interesting that I don't know if interesting is the right word. D0 also appears in Shadow of the Sith.
I don't know why.
That. In Shadow of the Sith, Luke Skywalker and Lando are trying to find the clone who escaped from Exegol, who is eventually Rey's father. Or is also, in Shadow of the Sith, it is Rey's father. By the way, spoiler alert. And he is abused by the bounty hunter in that. And the bounty hunter they find in Rise of Skywalker is that bounty hunter who abused D0.
That's cool. See,
it's all connected.
Yeah, it's all connected. I love D0's character. I also, C-3PO, I'm a basic bitch. My favorite, always and forever. I think his humor and commentary, we've already hit on in this episode about you know where he fits in the plot and all of that. But I just think he's such critical to the exposition and to the Rebels' success. I don't know if they would succeed half the time without 3PO. And I think it's interesting story-wise that Anakin creates him.
Yes.
He becomes
like
motivator,
there's that, like, the biggest villain badass in the galaxy created the most anxious, nervous, unsure droid in the world.
Who is oftentimes the linchpin to a lot of the Rebels' success.
Yes.
Like oftentimes they only can really defeat Vader or Vader's army because of the things that C-3PO offers to the plot. He has the biggest sacrifice outside of dying. Actually, I would sometimes argue that this might even be worse. He reverts to the dark side in his way.
Yeah.
In order to save the rebellion. And yes, you know, R2's able to restore him, then he gets his happy ending, but like that was not something they thought they could do when they did it. And he did it anyway. So, you know what? C-3PO's the GOAT anyway.
So we kind of talked about the personalities, how they match in with thematics. How are they plot catalysts or carriers of plot? How are they the spine to a Star Wars plot?
Well, I mean, R2 literally carries the plans to Leia. On his back.
On his back. So true.
In his chamber. BB-8 has the map to Luke. K2SO has all of the intel for Scarif and kind of acts as that next step to them getting out of there with the Death Star plans.
Yes.
They're the keepers of the lore and the memory.
They are. They're like, again, that goes back to they are the witnesses. It would be interesting to do a Star Wars story like 20,000 years after Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And all the organics are gone and it's just the droids. Like, going through life, doing their job kind of for nobody, and remembering the organics that they used to serve.
Which droid do you feel is most integral to their movie's plot? Or show's plot?
I'm gonna...
It's tough because they all really kind of fit in the category. Yeah. But
I think R2-D2, because he carried the Death Star plans. He's kind of the catalyst for... He's the connective tissue between Leia and Luke, like, moving the message
Obi
through. Bringing Obi back. And I just think, and also because it's the first trilogy, it's still the biggest deal for me.
Yeah, I agree. That would be my answer too. Although to shake things up, I will give an honorable mention to, I would actually give an honorable mention to SM-33, because those kids would die without him.
Oh, yes, that's right.
They wouldn't have survived a day if they didn't have that protocol droid.
That's right. And he totally protected them because he thought they were the captain of the ship.
Not to take away from the character's own, courage, agencies, smarts, like all of that, because they definitely, got him to be loyal to them. But let's be real, they needed him.
Yes, yeah. It is that very first scene when he comes out and defends them and kind of saves them. I can see that.
Well, and even at the very end, he kind of bends the pirate code slightly because he has his own agency to an extent and is like, all right, Ferd, you're the captain again. That works for me.
Yes. That's another thing that I find interesting about droids is they do have a certain amount of agency that is unique to them. Because they go against their programming all the time. And I just think that's really interesting character development, because if you're programmed to always say the odds and then go against that, or you always say the odds in a freaked out manner, it's kind of it makes for interesting character development. Do you think there are moments where a droid's choice feels more impactful than a Jedi's choice within the franchise?
Well,
I feel like this is a hard question.
It is hard. 3PO's ultimate kind of sacrifice that he thought he was going to be in permanence in, I feel like is pretty up there. I've already talked about that.
I've got one.
Go for it.
BB-8 trusting Rey.
Oh, that is true.
And of course, BB-8 trusts Rey because of a thorn in the paw type of moment where Rey fixes his antenna. R2 was on a mission to find Obi-Wan and does it.
Even if it killed 3PO, he was like, I'm out. I got a mission.
No. I got this thing to do. I know it's not repairing the hyperdrive, but they gave me a disc and I have to go do it. But BB-8 was just like, go out into the desert and just get away. And he discovers Rey and realizes, oh, this is a person I can trust because she helped him. And I think that was a big moment where a droid's choice kind of affected the story directly.
I agree with that. I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty. I was very excited when I thought that up.
Well, so we've kind of talked about like the misfit heroes. We've talked about agency and identity. I think the only thing we haven't talked about in terms of droids is like the ethics of droids.
Yeah.
Like there's so much of disposable attitude within the Empire towards droids. Not every droid owner has that, but a lot of them do.
Yeah, and again, it feels like pets. It's like some people have these animals as hunting dogs or as herd animals, like food, and that's how I kind of see the droids too. And some people's like how you treat a droid is kind of like how much of an asshole or good person you are. when someone's mean to a droid, you're like, that's a bad person.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, well, I mean, I'm thinking about in the prequel, on all of the trilogies, really, but I think in the prequels especially, there's so much disposable attitude towards the battle droids. And it's interesting because, like, we know that droids have the capability to be a companion, have the
Yes.
capability to be an ally, have a much more, like, emotionally complex moral compass and character and feelings and thoughts about the world. And yet we watch some of these battles, especially I think in the prequel trilogy, and we're like, oh, it's just a battle droid. But we see glimpses of their personalities. Like, I think there's even, like, we hear their conversations. There's a lot of banter. They kind of hate their jobs. Like, there's a little bit of that, like...
You're right. Like, a lot of the droids, especially the ones who can speak, hate their jobs.
Yeah, the battle droids especially, they're kind of like, oh, this again, like, well, I'm out on Outpost 4 or whatever it is. And I can't recall which film it is, but I know there's a scene where 2 or 3 of them walk around a corner, they see a bunch of chaos happening, and they literally turn around and walk the other direction.
Okay. I want to say that is Revenge of the Sith, and it's in the opening scenes when Anakin and Obi-Wan crash land on the ship, on the capital starship.
I don't get paid enough for this.
Yes,
we didn't see it.
There's another really good background interaction when Obi-Wan drops down in front of Grievous and he goes, hello there. And Grievous is like, I'm going to kick your ass. Mm-hmm. There's 2 battle droids and one nudges the other battle droid and points. It's like, okay, get ready for this. This is going to be fun to watch. It's a great moment. And they're really off to the side and in the background, and it's an extreme long shot.
I just wonder what it says about the galaxy's kind of, moral compass. But I guess you could ask the same about humanity, right? I mean, every culture treats their animals a little differently.
Yes, yeah. And there are 2 sets of animals where there's like the outdoor animals and the indoor animals.
Yeah.
One of the things about the battle droids that I find interesting is I never really when Phantom Menace first came out and they had the battle droids, my impression was, oh, this is just so that they can lightsaber things and it's not super violent. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, let's just take these things out.
A war without war, essentially.
A war without war. But all those little moments, especially, you see them in the prequel trilogy where the droids are having those moments of like, this is above my pay grade, and like they're hesitant to go in. They don't want to always fight. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think much about that until like after the cartoons, and now it really does seem like the battle droids have there's a different kind of impact when they get killed now. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like they've been developed more and more as more and more stories have been told. Yeah,
I agree with that. And on both sides, because both the light and the dark have used them for that kind of expendable or disposable purpose. Yeah, it's interesting.
And speaking of the disposable purpose, it's kind of insane that, the good guys from the prequel trilogy got humans and cloned them. Just...
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of commentary on, like, war and the ethics of war and, like, kind of the soldier mentality that I feel like is its whole other episode.
Yes, I agree.
But I agree that droids fit into that conversation. Yeah.
And I think the prequel, Phantom Menace sets that up by saying, okay, here's this disposable droid army. We're just going to cut through them. Okay, and then in part 2, it's like, okay, that droid army, now there's a human army to fight it. Yeah. And they're going to get cut through because they do get cut down.
They do.
Wow. How did we spin? We really got into the wars of Star Wars from droids are the spine of the franchise.
Well, because I think that's how. But I think that's how, because they really are. Like, they represent so much of the humanity of Star Wars. If you could have one droid as your lifelong companion, who would you pick? We'll end on a good note.
This is such a hard one. And I tend to... I feel like the pet thing. a little bit. But I'd have to say I'm a basic person, R2-D2, because I think he's the most rounded out of the droids. You know,
Fair.
he's loyal, he's informative, he has a little bit of sass. He's fun. You know, he's funny. I just think he'd be a fun droid to hang out with. And yeah, I think R2-D2. Now that I say it out loud more and more, yes.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that. And I think you know what I'm going to say.
I don't, like BB-8? I don't know.
B. Close.
B.
I would want B. I'm such a cat person. I would be completely content with a droid that didn't really aid anything to my, like, you know, like the functionality of my life, but just was so pleasant to be around.
Yes. Yeah.
I just love B so much. If I'm talking function, though, probably 3PO.
Wow. I think
he'd be helpful.
Yeah, I think it would like be having my inner anxiety next to me all the time.
Oh, see, I'd like it because he could like make my tea in the morning, and he'd always make sure my husband and I have our packed lunches for work, and like he'd clean while we were gone, and happily too, because we treat him well and like, you know, give him a day off. And
I mean, that is a good point. Even though he's anxious, C-3PO is a caregiver, I think.
He's a caregiver. He'd be great. Oh my God, he'd feed our cats when we were out of town. He'd be great.
So that's what Star Wars means to us this week. What do you think? What do you think about droids? Do they have agency? Are they the spine of the franchise or the storytelling of the franchise? And what do their archetypes within particular shows and movies mean to that show or movie?
Yeah.
Let us know online at Star Wars Mean to You. That's at Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U.
And who are we talking to next week? Oh, wait.
Next week we have off. Yeah.
We gave ourselves a week off.
Yes. So September 23rd, we're taking off. But on September 30th, we're back with Mark, who is a co-host of the show War of the Stars. Very fun conversation with him.
So come back to us in 2 weeks. Until then,
may the Force be with you.
And with you. Why do you think wow, I almost said, why do you think humans attach themselves to droids? That's dumb. That's not what I meant to ask. Why
are humans so weird?
Look, way to sound like an alien, Elora.
Hi, this is Dave. And before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars.